this morning?
Okay.
To the house?
Yeah. Yeah, that was about an hour ago.
But Brooks ain't go. Where Brooks at?
You want to go find him?
Yeah. Who?
Brooks, he was in the first session. He missed the last one.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Let's see if he is.
Brooks, my roommate, I know he didn't go to the house because they left him. This morning, he asked was he going. He said no. They took a smoke break. I know he was still here.
When was the smoke break?
Yeah, 7.
7. Yeah. And what is they? They building on the house down there? What for the trend? It's a new house or is it are they rehabbing the house?
They rehabbing the house.
Oh, okay.
It's a big house. Like 2 houses put together. It's a big house. Big
house. What is they doing like drywall? What, I mean, are they just cleaning or is they? Like,
no, they putting something in that drywall.
Oh wow!
All that, they doing all that. It's a dude here that build houses. Well, he know what he doing.
Also, then they teaching them how to do this stuff too.
Well, if they learn anything, some of them probably just did this to get away.
Right.
He's at the house too.
He ain't not getting over there.
What's up?
I thought he asked him what he going. He said no.
All right, brothers. So, hey, we rocking and rolling, man. We rock and roll with what we got, man. You know, we still make it happen, man. Still continue to peel back the layers to establishing a strong, positive relationship. Everything is about establishing a strong, positive relationship. We done been able to cover some ground into getting that done, right? You know, understanding what a strong, positive relationship is. It's a relationship without barriers, and we get the influence that we need with our children, and that's what it's all about, right? Don't we want to be able to give our children the information for them to be able to go out there and do life with at a high level? That's what it's about. So then that's why we established that strong, positive relationship with our children. The first place that we started at is where? We started at understanding what type of father that we want to deliver to our children. Remember, it comes from us being mindful, not absent-minded. We are mindful. We are not in our children's presence, but absent, you know, because our minds isn't there. We are going to serve the relationship between our children and ourselves with our mind. So then that means we first start where? Understanding what type of father that we are going to deliver to our children. And that's why we look at that, right? And to understand that, what do? How do we understand, how do we come to terms of what type of father that we're going to deliver to our children? What do we got to do to come to that understanding and say, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that?
The positive and negatives.
Right. Where do we get that positive and negatives from?
From our fathers.
From our past experiences with our parents, right? So then what we want to do is we want to reflect on our past experiences that we had with our parents, you know, those positive interactions that produced the positive feelings with us, right? And then what are we going to do with those positive interactions?
Double it.
We are going to duplicate that, right? So then we're going to make sure that our children experience that same positive interaction that we experienced when we were children that produced the positive feelings, because we are determined to create a positive relationship, right? So it first starts with us understanding what type of father that we are going to be, and we're going to get that information from our experiences. We're going to go ahead and do what's already right. That means that if it's right, we ain't got to look. You know, we ain't got to look. If it's right, we don't have to look for any place else, right? So we just going to go ahead and do what's already been done that was right, that produced the good feelings, right? So then we're going to give our children that same exact thing. So then that's the first thing that we do. And then after we look at the positive and duplicate the positive, what's the next thing that we do?
Stay away from what hurt.
Identify the negative, right? So then now it's a must that we identify the negative. So when I'm thinking about that, we identify the negative and then we resist the negative. Tell me some positive interaction that you had with your parents when you were younger that you're going to duplicate.
Like when my dad used to go fishing.
Oh, okay. So just y'all spending that time together was valuable for you, right?
Yeah.
It made you feel like a part of the team, kind of. What it? Yeah, absolutely. So then that's what it made you feel like, right?
We feel on patience and stuff, you know.
Oh,
Taking my time.
right.
Man.
Did y'all talk while y'all was out there?
Yeah.
Y'all talk?
Yeah.
Just good stuff. Was it like just you was able to just talk about anything or whatever maybe?
Anything.
That's good stuff, man. How old was you when y'all started doing that?
Well, 6.
You remember it back then?
Yeah, 6, 7. I didn't know my dad till I was like 6 or 7.
Wow. So you remember when he used to take you, that's powerful. You remember when you were 6 years old and he used to take you out there to fish. And that made you feel excited when he said it's time to go fishing,
That's
right?
how I first met my dad when I was 6, 7, or 6 or 7.
Yeah.
I first met him, I was like 6 or 7.
Wow.
That's what I remember. That's how I know I remember that one.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Did y'all eat the same fish that y'all caught, or?
Yeah, he can cook too. Yeah, he made us eat the same fish. We kept the fish. When some fish is too small, we throw it back. But we cooked. We sure kept them.
Heck
We
yeah.
fillet them and all that.
Wow. Heck yeah, that's good stuff. So now, when you think, have you taken your children out to fish?
Yeah, man, my son went fishing.
Yeah, okay, cool, yeah. So now just think about that. Now just think about when you're thinking about the father that you want to be, just think about, man, you know what? I'm going to make sure that I set up a schedule to where I'm at least taking my children to fish in the summertime or whatever may be the case, once a month or maybe once a week, whatever you want to do, but just make sure that you include it into your schedule, right? Just to spend that time with your children because you remember how it made you feel. So now it's like, I'm going to be intentional on doing that. That's how you get control of your life, right? You think your way through this life. You want to make sure that you're using your mind and you're not just feeling your way through life. You're not just on autopilot. We are actually thinking about, man, what am I going to do next, right? And that's how we get the stuff done. That's how we get the stuff done. That's how we give our children the fathers that we want them to have when we think about what type of father that we are giving them. When I'm saying, man, how do we determine what type of father we are going to give them? We got to look at what are the things that we are going to do, the actionable steps. It's not just saying, I just want to be a good dad. We want to be specific because when we are specific, that's how we get it done. But when you are broad, guess what I've realized? The stuff don't really get done, right? When people be like, man, I'm just going to be a good dad, guess what? They end up being an ineffective dad and give their children a lot of poison because they're not understanding what that means. You see what I'm saying? It's a whole different ball game when you start to really, man, focus in on exactly what that is and saying, man, okay, well, I'm going to do this. And then what you'll do is look at other positives, right? Think about other positives that happen. And then you just go ahead and continue to go down the line and you make sure that your children get all of those positives that you have received when you were younger, right? So now when you think about the negatives, tell me some negatives that you experienced when you were a child with your parents.
I would say, we had a large family. They weren't able to set us aside and give us time, separate time. So I lacked a lot of one-on-one, with my parents.
Right.
And then do anything, from job, and you're neglecting to spend certain time, with one of your kids, not meaningful, but, I always made sure I took that negative and turned it into a positive because I had my career, I always made sure I put time aside for both of my kids.
Right.
One-on-ones.
Right.
So I learned from that.
See, that's good stuff. And it's totally different when you understand why you are doing what you are doing, so you make sure that you stick to it, right? And it's not just because it can become natural. You can naturally say, I'm going to avoid from giving them the negative because I remember the negative that was done to me. But if we don't think about it consistently, like we're going to get, put in situations to where we might overlook it and we might give them that negative because we're not intentional on not giving them that. Right? We're not giving them that on autopilot. But when we literally say, I'm not going to do that, then that's how we increase our chances of it not being done. That's how we increase our chances of them not receiving that same negative interaction that we got when we were younger. So if you looked up and you say, man, hey, I didn't really get that one-on-one time when I was, when I was younger, and I thirst for that, and I was thirsting for that one-on-one time. Now, while you are a parent, you got to say, man, you know what? Man, matter of fact, I'm going to write that stuff down. Give my children one-on-one time. And now we take it a step further, and then we start to figure out how we are going to provide that one-on-one time, right? We're going to say, man, you know what? I'm going to take Abby here on Wednesday. I'm going to take such and such here on Friday. So I can know that I'm going to provide that one-on-one time that I want to. I'm going to set up my life. I'm going to schedule my life to get that done. Instead of just saying, man, I'm going to get one-on-one time. We take a step further when we start to set it up to provide that one-on-one time. If I say that I'm going to make sure that I spend time with my children, I'm going to go ahead and set up a movie night for sure. So I know that that my life is set up, my schedule is set up in a way to where we're going to have movie night. And I can commit to that. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm being focused about what I am doing. I'm being focused about what type of father that I am giving my children. And that's how they are going to get the father that I want them to have. It all starts from here, the mind. That's what it's all about. So then that's why we go over this stuff. That's why we talk about it. That's why we write it down and things like that, so our minds can be in the place that it needs to be, so we don't overlook what really matters to us. If we don't overlook what we really want to do. And we got to sit up here and say what it is that we want to do. And that's how we get it done. So we identify the negative and we resist the negative. We look at all of the negatives that we experienced when we were children from our parents, and then we make sure that we resist from giving our children that same negative, right? Yeah. That's how we start to develop that father that we want to give to our children. After we paid that some attention and we understood what type of father that we want to give our children, the next thing that we do is we understand what type of adults that we want our children to become, right? So we say, man, you know what? This is the end game. This is where I'm taking my children to. So I'm giving my children the confidence that I am leading them in a direction that I know that I want them to go. I'm not just taking them any old where. I got a place for them to go. I got goals set for them in their lives. I have thought about their life, right? And that's what will increase the confidence in me as a leader with my children, because they look at me and say, you know what, Dad is not just taking me any old where. Dad is taking me to a designed destination. So then that increases the trust and it strengthens the relationship automatically, right? Because they know that, hey, I'm leading them to the championship. You see what I'm saying? So when we talk about the goals that we have for our children, we base it on what type of character that we want our children to become, not what type of profession. Because if I raise my children to be a lawyer, if I raise my children to be a football player, if I raise my children to be a speaker, those are all professions that I might have liked, that I believe that are of quality, right? Because it's something inside of me that says that, hey man, lawyer is what it is, or being a speaker is what it is, or being a football player is what it is. My responsibility as a father is to make sure that my children tap into what's inside of them, because once they tap into what's inside of them and develop what's inside of them, not only will they benefit, but people outside of them will benefit when they are operating in the space that they are supposed to be operating in. Right? So that's where you're going to get your greatest joy in life, is when you are doing what you have been designed to do. If you operate within your design, then that's when you get, the best type of results. Right? Anything that you use outside of the design that it was supposed to be used, what happens to it? It breaks down, right? It's going to break down. So if this chair is made for sitting, if I get on the chair and I'm jumping on it, right, what's going to happen to the chair? It's going to break. What should I use to jump on? A trampoline, because a trampoline is designed for jumping. So then therefore it can take the jumping. So when you are using anything in its true design, then it's going to give you the best results. But if you use something outside of its true design, it's going to break down. And that's how we break down, because we are not operating in our true design. That's how we break down as people, right? As men, we break down because we are not operating in our true design. We are operating in a design that somebody else has designed for us and told us that this is who we are, this is who we should be, and we design ourselves based on that. Oh my gosh. That stuff is heavy. That's why life ain't clicking for us like that, because we are going after what somebody else says that matters. We are doing what somebody else says that we should do, not what it is that we really should do, not what's inside of us. We wasn't taught to tap into what's inside of us. We was taught to just fit in with everybody else. We was taught to fit in with the status quo. Get a job, pay the bills, right? We was taught that, and because we was taught that, that's what we do. That's how we break down. We break down because we are not operating in our true design. So then that's what we want to do with our children, man. That's so good right there, man. Like, that's crazy, man. We break down because we are not operating in our true design. When you start to operate in your true design, man, life is totally different for you. And that's the issue.
You can actually enjoy it.
You can actually enjoy it when you go through the institutions, when you go through the prisons, when you go through when you tap into people in the streets and things like that. You can see that people are just tired, right? People are broken down. They are tired of life. They wake up tired of life. Why? Because they are not operating in their true design. They have not been taught to operate in their true design. They have not been taught to value who they are. And because they have not been taught to value who they are, they operate in the way that everybody else wants them to operate. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's what we all fall victim to. I bet you if you go around the country and ask people and do a survey and ask people if they believe that they're operating in their true design, I bet you more people than not is going to say, no, I'm doing what people said I should do. Go to work, come home, go back to work again, pay bills, come home, go to work to pay bills. You know, it's not their true design. And that's why they're not getting the juice from their life that they are supposed to get, because they are outside of their design, man. That stuff is good in a mug, man. So we want to make sure that we develop our children to operate in their true design. So then that's why we just work on developing their character. So our goals is based on what type of character that we want them to be. It's not based on the profession. It's based on what type of character that we want them to be. We want to develop a character that's going to warrant success. So when I look at my children and I'm going to say, man, I see what type of character you are, man, that's going to be an attractive character to society in general. And if you are attractive to society in general, you are going to attract good relationships. You are going to have strong relationships, and I understand that strong relationships is paradise. You get opportunity through relationships. So now that you are attractive to people out there in society, that's going to be the next level for you. But I want to make sure that you have that right type of character. So my responsibility as a father is to instill the characteristics that they need to have to be successful. So then that's what my goals is for my children, right? So everything in the parenting plan is based on them becoming the character that I believe that they need to be successful. As their leader, I'm going to tell them that at the end of this, you are going to have these character traits that is going to warrant your success. That means that you are going to be you're going to be confident, right? So I'm not going to compromise your confidence, because if I compromise your confidence, then what will happen? You will be insecure. And if you are insecure, then you are going to fit in everybody else's design, and you are going to become what everybody else wants you to become. You're going to become a people pleaser. And one thing that we realize is that people ain't never satisfied. So you will continue to work on pleasing people to never operate in your true design. You need confidence to be able to operate in your true design. That means that you need confidence to be able to go against the dominant thinking of your peers and say, I'm not going to do what y'all are doing. I'm not going to think the way that you are thinking. Do you know how difficult it is to go against the dominant thinking of your peers? Like if everybody is doing this around you, it takes confidence to do that. It's not for the weak. It takes confidence to say, I see everybody doing that, but I'm about to do this because this is what I believe to be right. It was so many things that I'd done when I was a teenager. I did that because it was a part of the crowd. And I paid for that. But that's because I was lacking confidence. Right? So if I'm thinking about, man, my children being confident, how can I make sure that I instill the confidence in my children? That's just by not compromising it, right? That means that when they do right and I see them doing right, I tell them about the right. But also when they do the wrong, I'm going to tell them about the wrong, but I'm not going to avoid from telling them about the right. You see what I'm saying? If I don't tell them about the right and I just tell them about the wrong, then I have actually given them a lie, because it's some right in the wrong of us and it's some wrong in the right of us. My responsibility is to make sure I give my children the truth, right? The truth will set you free. If I give my children the truth, then they will be able to grow properly off of the truth. The issue is when we tell our children the lies. The lies is what? Man, you know what? Hey, man, you didn't do this right. I was talking to about my son. He got into the shower, right? And he got into the shower. He was getting up on his own, getting into the shower, regulating himself, getting himself dressed, getting himself on the bus. And when I found out that he wasn't washing up using soap and a rag, right? Now, what is my responsibility? When I found out that I go in the shower and the soap is dry and the rag is dry, right? I could have came at it in a way to where I could have broken down, where I could have just pointed out the wrong. Man, son, you ain't even using no soap or no washcloth, man. You dirtied in a mug, man. I could have labeled them, right? And that's another thing that can break down the confidence when you start to label people and things like that. When I start to say, man, you stupid, you dirty. No, this is just something that you doing right now, but that's not you. When people will sit up there and say, man, you a thug or you a criminal or you a dope dealer or you a drug addict or whatever may be the case, that's not you. That's just what you are doing at that particular time. But so often people will label you as that. And when we get labeled as that, then that breaks down our confidence, especially when you are a child. And so often we get labels that breaks down our confidence. You dirty, you nasty, right? You slow, you lazy. So if we understand that we want our children to have confidence, then what are we going to do? We are going to make sure that we tell them the truth. We are going to make sure that we tell them what is right and the wrong too as well. It's not saying that we don't have to tell them the wrong, because we're going to tell them about the wrong too as their parents, because we want them to correct that error. But we also want to let them know that we see some right in it as well. And once they start to understand that they see that we see right in them, they will start to see right in themselves. Does that make sense? Right? So then that means that they say, man, you know what? Hey, man, yeah, okay. I went on ahead. I still got up on time. I still got in the shower on my own. I'm still getting dressed and getting ready for school. I'm still getting on the bus right now by myself, right? I'm still doing some things that say that I'm self-regulated. Now I just got to go ahead and address, man, me using soap and a rag. It makes them feel totally different. So it is my responsibility when I'm interacting with my children to identify the right that they are doing, even when it's some wrong. So that's the difficult part, and that's where the parenting piece come into place at. But if I understand that I'm trying to protect their confidence, that I'm trying to increase their confidence, then I would know that I got to tell them about what's right as well, right? Because that's how they can grow off of the truth. And if you're just telling half the story, then it's actually a lie. And our children cannot grow the way that they should off of lies. right? So then that's why we want to make sure that we focus on the positive to protect the confidence. The next thing that we want to do, we want to make sure that they are good decision makers. What is a good decision maker? A good decision maker is an individual who understands what the consequences are, because that is what we have to live with. So a good decision maker, they take all of their energy and invest it into understanding what is the consequence, because that's what we're going to live with in life. So if I say that the consequence, for instance, I went last year, I had pancreatitis or something like that, right? I had pancreatitis, and then I went into the doctor, and they said, man, you know what? Your blood pressure is high. So I said, man, you know what? Man, I got to start to address that. You know what I started to do? I started jumping rope. I started running sprints, right? I turned my workout up. Why? Because I understood that if I don't, then am I going to really be here for my children? I don't care what I say that I want to do and whatever may be the case. If I'm not taking care of my health, am I going to really be there for my children? Like, that's the consequence. So then that's why I say, man, you know what? Let me go ahead and start taking these dang on blood pressure pills. Dang, I ain't taking my blood pressure pills this morning. Right? I'm going to get back and I got to take my blood pressure pills, right? Right? But I'm like, man, I'm going to take my blood pressure pills because I want to regulate my blood pressure, because I don't want to deal with the consequence of my organs breaking down and me not being able to function. I've lost close friends to heart failure, right? Because of blood pressure. So I understand the consequence of not paying attention to your blood pressure. So because I don't want that consequence, guess what I'm going to do as far as my decision is concerned? I'm going to regulate my blood pressure. I'm eating broccoli and green vegetables. I'm eating soup with vegetables in it and stuff like that. I'm eating fish. Like, I'm eating fish in my diet. Like, I'm stepping up my diet. I'm paying attention to my diet. I don't use salt on none of my food, right? I don't use the salt shaker. The salt that's on my food is it either has been cooked with it or it comes with it in the packaging, right? I don't use salt. Why? I intentionally don't use the salt shaker. Why? Because I'm not okay with living with the consequence of my blood pressure elevated to levels that's going to break down my organs. Good decision maker, right? I'm okay with the consequence of me being here with my children. I'm okay with the consequence of me skating today with my daughter on her 6th birthday. I'm okay with that consequence, right? I'm okay with the consequence of the freedom. I'm okay with the consequence of being able to go up the stairs and come down the stairs. I'm okay with the consequence of being able to do the slip and slide on family events with my children. I'm okay with that consequence. So that's what I want my children to be, good decision makers, because if they be good decision makers, then guess what? They are going to be living with consequences that they are okay with. And that's what it's all about. You don't want to be living with consequences that you're not okay with, because that's poor decision making. Because nobody is making our decisions for us. It's us. So I want my children to be good decision makers. Something that I can help them be good decision makers, I can give them the ability to make decisions. Because how do you become a good decision maker? By making poor decisions, right? Failure is the tuition to success. So the way that we become successful is by failing. So when my daughter sit up here and say, man, Dad, man, I want that candy over there that's sour and things like that at my son's, at her brother's football game, right, at the concession stand, and she says, I want the Skittles that's sour. And I say, man, you don't want that. You ain't gonna like that. And she said, yes, I do. I gotta give her the ability to be able to make that decision. And I tell her that if I buy that candy that is sour, I'm not buying no more. So that's your choice. That's your decision. And when she says, yes, Dad, I want that candy, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to fund her decision. And when she says, man, you know what?
So I still got him in there. You got him in there still?
What?
I thought he was going to pull back Skittles.
Oh, no. I was looking for my dang on rag, man. Oh, here we go. Yeah, so when she says, man, this stuff is nasty, guess what I'm going to do? I know that's right, daughter. What you going to do with it? Because you made the decision, and you got to live with the consequence. And the consequence is that you're not going to get no enjoyment off of the candy that you are eating. So I gave her the space to be able to make the decision, right? And I'm teaching her that you got to live with your consequences because nobody else is going to live with them like you. I love this stuff, man. Like, it's teaching her to value the way that she makes decisions. It's teaching her to really look at what is the consequences of her decisions because I'm giving her the ability to be able to make decisions. I'm not making the decisions for her. I could have been like, man, you know what? I'm going to get you this candy because I know that you're not going to like that candy. No, I know that the candy is not going to kill her, so I'm going to allow her to make a decision within my framework. I'm going to give her that, right? And when she finds this pleasure in that candy, I'm going to be like, you got to deal with that. Now you know to adjust in the way that you are making your decision. So now what is she going to do? She done gathered information from that decision. Failure, the tuition to success. Remember what I just said? She gathered information. So now, I kid you not, I seen it in real time when we went to the store for movie night. I say, man, daughters, go ahead and pick out your candy. And she says, Dad, I'm going to ask you this. Is that candy right there sour? And I say, yes, it is. I don't want that. You see what I'm saying? So now she's saying that if I get that candy that is sour, it's not going to give me the results that I want. So then therefore, that's not a good decision. I'm not going to make a decision that I'm not okay with the consequences for, right? So now it's like, man, okay, I'm going to go ahead and try something else. Let me try those over there. So she continues to try other candy to make sure that she knows what she likes. And when she finds out what candy she likes, guess what she does when she comes back to the store? I want that. I know what I want because that's going to give me the pleasure that I am seeking. I am going to be okay with the consequence after I bite into that candy. You see what I'm saying? So now what I have done is I've given my children the ability to make their decisions. And because I've given them the ability to make their decisions, have they experienced some bad decisions? Heck yeah. We all will have bad decisions in our life because we are human beings. But when they get to understand, man, how to make adjustments, okay, I'm about to go ahead and create a new dang on result. That's what it's all about. It's about, even with this, it's saying, man, what decisions did I make to land me here, right? And then we make adjustments. A lot of times people be like, man, it's over. And it's never over until you ain't got no more breath in your body. As long as you got breath in your body, then you still got time left, right? And then that means you got time to get it right, to get back on track. It's just about making the decision to get back on track. So it's just saying, man, you know what, hold up. Man, this is not the consequences that I want. Let me go ahead and do something else to warrant different consequences. Good decision makers. I want my children to be good decision makers. I want them to be self-regulated, right? Regulate themselves. Understanding what is necessary to get done and getting that stuff done. They don't need outside things to drive them. They don't need to be motivated by the outside. They are motivated by the inside, right? If I understand that I got to be here, I'm going to do what's necessary to get here. That means that I'm going to go ahead and go to sleep a little bit earlier than I would at home on a Friday to get here in time to teach class. I'm going to regulate myself. You know, that's what I do, right? Because I want the best results. People who regulate themselves are the people who be the most successful. So then that's why I want my children to have that self-regulated type of character trait, right? Because that's going to lead them to become successful, which it's all about, right? The next one is being individuals that bring value back to the table, meaning that I want them to be people of value, meaning that they are looking how to provide some reciprocity in the relationships that they are in. They don't want to come into the relationships and looking just to take and get. They are looking for opportunities to be able to give. How can they make people feel like that they are important? How can they give to the relationship? How can they give to the situation? How can they give to the company? I want to get my children to be that type of individual that looks for ways to give, thinking that the greatest opportunity is in the give. It's not in the get. Right? As adults, we start to understand that it's all about giving more than it's about getting. Like when you think about Christmas, but you do see, you see adults who haven't like evolved and they be like, man, what am I going to get for Christmas? And they be trying to think about what they going to get for Christmas, right? You know what? I'm like, man, you an adult, man. Like, but some adults, they are really focused. I mean, what you going to get me for Christmas, you know? But when you have started to make that evolution and you have put away childish things, a lot of times, man, you will be in the space of, man, I can't wait to give my children this. I can't wait to give them that. You know, I can't wait going to see the smile on their faces when they receive this gift that I have gotten for them, right? It changes. When you are a child, you do childish things and you focus more on getting. But when you are an adult, guess what? You focus more on giving. That's when you see your best pleasure. That's when you feel the most pleasurable, is when you are in a position to give, right? So then that's where I want my children to understand that that's where they are going, is to become individuals that are more focused on giving than getting, right? So I want them to be individuals that bring value back to the table. So I want to be intentional with that. So then that means that when they ask to help out with something inside of the house, I don't go ahead and shoo them away because it will make it inconvenient, right? I'm going to allow them to help out. Why? Because I want them to get that joy in helping out. So when they say, man, you know what? Let me help you wash my dishes. Let me help you wash the dishes. I understand that it's going to make a mess when you washing the dishes because water is going to be all over the place. But I'm going to allow you to help me wash the dishes, even though I'm going to have to rewash them. I'm going to allow you to help me wash the dishes because I'm being intentional about what I'm instilling into my children. I want you to see how it feels to help out with washing the dishes. I want you to help out with small things inside of the household so you can feel a part of the household. So you can say, man, you know what? I help with the structure of this household. I'm intentional. I'm focused on what I'm doing. My mind is serving the relationship between me and my children. I'm focused on what I'm developing, who I'm developing my children into. I'm focused on that, right? So, and the last thing is I want them to be individuals that does their best. Right? So when I see them doing their best, I'm going to encourage that behavior and let them know, man, I see you doing your best. Boom. Because you're doing your best, it produces sort of result. And when you produce that sort of result, when you do your best, in the future, you're gonna continue to get more better results and your life is going to be pleasant. Right? So I'm giving them that information that they need to have to develop off of properly. I'm focused. This is what the parenting piece is all about. Right? So when we are coming to our children with that type of mind, that strengthens the relationship automatically, right? Because your children will get the sense from you that you are not careless. That's what it's about, right? So after we do that and we understand what is our goals, remember repetition develops skills. So that's why we're going over this stuff again. After we develop our goals, right, now what's the next thing that we do? We make sure that we listen because that establishes a strong positive relationship with our children, with anybody. Nothing says that we are there for a person more than just to listen. So then that's what we want to be disciplined in listening to our children. When we listen, we give them our ear. That lets them know that we care about who they are because the only thing that gets us to listen is because of our care about that individual that is talking to us. If we don't care because we haven't been conditioned to care, a lot of times people haven't even been conditioned to care, and that's why they got weak relationships. They're not even conditioned to care about nobody else but what they got going on, right? They're not even going to be there for nobody else, but they don't like the results for them not being there for nobody else because when they look out and nobody is there for them, they like, man, there ain't nobody here for me, right? Well, because you're never there for nobody, and to be there says just to listen. And people have difficulty with listening to people, right? And it starts with the youth. It starts when you're a child because your parents didn't listen to you, just giving you their ear. Nothing says that you are there for a person more than just to listen. So when we are listening to our children, we want to show them that we are engaged to the conversation. What do? We give them the eye contact, right? Head nods. Short phrases. Understand. Most definitely. I get it. Makes sense, right? All of these things can just let somebody know that you are engaged to the conversation. That's what it's about. So we want to make sure that we are going through these motions so we can give that speaker the confidence that we are engaged to the conversation, that they matter. You know, that's producing these type of actions out of us. When I'm giving them the empathetic facial expressions and I'm like, and you say, man, dang, man, hey, I just won the lottery and my facial expressions, my eyebrows is raised. Wow, right? And then I'll name what you are feeling. You must be excited. You know that I am present in the conversation because what you are saying is activating certain things from me. It's getting me to do certain things in my movements, right? So your excitement is creating my eyebrows to go up. So you are knowing that what you are saying is registering inside of me. So then this is what we will do when we are in the presence of our children. I tell people, man, listening should look theatrical, right? It should look theatrical. It should look like, man, that I'm just really excited about what you got to say to me, right? And when you are like that, right, your children will feel more comfortable in coming to you. And if they feel more comfortable in coming to you, they will tell you more things. And if they tell you more things, then you will have a greater understanding of who they are. If you have a greater understanding of who they are, you will be able to interact with them in a way that strengthens the relationship between you and them. You will be able to give them that information that you want to give them. You will be able to give them your failures so that they don't duplicate your failures. You will be able to give them your successes so they can duplicate your successes, right? It's going to be a beautiful scenario. But that's because why? Because you listen to them and it establishes the trust that they have in you in regards to handling them. Because they like, man, why else would you listen to me? Now, they might not even know that specifically why they feel so comfortable with you. They just going to know that they feel comfortable with you. Just like you might not know why you feel uncomfortable with some people, right? But a lot of times it's because you can't express yourself. Because you can't tell somebody what's inside of you. Because you get cut off, you know. And that's the issue. So then that's what we want to make sure that we listen to our children, because that's going to go towards strengthening the relationship. Now, when we look at the next layer that we are peeling back to establishing a strong, positive relationship with our children, we're going to move on along. And it's none other than forgiveness.
Want me to turn that arrow?
Oh, yeah, heck yeah, man. Shit. So now, good, man. Heck yeah, man. So now, when we thinking about, man, this next layer that we're going to peel back into establishing a strong, positive relationship with our children, we're going to talk about forgiveness. Why is forgiveness important? Because forgiveness, it presents baggage in any type of relationship. So you want to have the inability to forgive will strip the quality of your relationships. It will strip the quality of your life, your inability to forgive, right? Forgiveness is a gift to you. Forgiveness is for you. It's not for the other person, right? Forgiveness is actually for you. Because if you are holding grudges against somebody, what is that going to do for that other person? What is that going to do to that other person? Or what is it going to do to you? If you are holding grudges against somebody who potentially have done you wrong, what is that going to do to that other person? Will it change that other person? Will they still continue to do what they were doing to somebody else, potentially? So when you hold that grudge and when you see that person and you got these negative feelings inside of you and you getting all tensed up when you hear that person's name or you see that person's face, how is it benefiting you? How does it make sense?
Going forward, it just stands still.
Your inability to forgive, it keeps you stagnant. And anytime that you are stagnant, that's when the quality of your life deteriorates, because you are stagnant. We are designed to evolve. Anytime that you are stagnant, your life will deteriorate. The quality of your life will deteriorate anytime that you are standing still. Because we are designed to evolve. Right? So people will stay back here and say, this is what they did to me. This is what my father did to me. This is what my mom did to me. This is what my friend did to me. And then they'll hold those grudges in their current time. They don't use that information to make their present better so then their future can be greater. They use that information to deteriorate their present day and time, to strip the quality from their lives. That means that it hurt them back then and it's continuing to hurt them right now. But that is a choice. That's why forgiveness is something that is accessible to us, that we can access to help move our lives forward. So then that means we got to make the decision to forgive. When we make the decision to forgive, then the quality of our relationships will be stronger. If the quality of our relationships are stronger, then that means that the quality of our lives will be better. That's what it boils down to. But we got to make sure that we access that gift that has been given to us, which is forgiveness. Forgiveness is not for the other person, but it's actually for us. You don't win when you hold on to stuff that's not doing you any good. Right? So I say that there's 3 prongs to forgiveness. 1, asking for forgiveness. That's the first prong to forgiveness. Again, it helps you to be able to move forward. When you ask for forgiveness, what does that do? It makes you understand the wrong, and it says, man, let me go ahead and do some work so I don't have to ask for forgiveness again. If you truly mean it, I always tell people, if you don't feel sorry, then don't say it. Don't apologize if you don't feel sorry. Have you ever seen people get caught in different scandals and stuff like that, and they'll get on the TV and they'll say, man, you know what? Hey, I'm sorry. Or they'll get caught saying something and then they'll get on TV. I'm sorry. No, that's what you meant. So are you really sorry, or are you sorry that you got caught? Because if you're not truly sorry, then guess what's going to happen? You're going to do that same thing again. And that's how you see people who apologize and they still doing the same thing that they apologize for. People will say, your parents might have said, I apologize for not picking you up and my word falling through the cracks. They really didn't mean it, because if they really did feel sorry, then they would make some adjustments. They would say, you know what, hey, I feel sorry, so now I'm going to ensure to the best of my ability that I'm not going to do that again. They're going to put in max effort to not do the same thing again because they really did feel sorry, right? So sometimes people apologize and don't feel sorry. I always say, man, feel sorry, and then number 2, apologize. So then that's asking for forgiveness. I'll be to the point right now where it's like, man, I'm not about to apologize for something that I don't feel sorry about. I gotta feel sorry about it for me to apologize. No matter what you think, I gotta feel sorry about it for me to apologize. So I make sure that I'm conscious of what it is that I'm apologizing about, because I don't want to do the same thing again. I want to identify it as an error and say, man, you know what? I'm not going to commit that error to the best of my ability, because I'm really sorry about doing that I did. So that's the first thing. It's understanding what it is that you did wrong and then apologizing. How that can be wonderful for children is because when your children hear the father say, man, I'm sorry, it recognizes them as an individual and it shows them the respect. What better is it for somebody to do wrong and they say they sorry to you and be serious about it? I'm sorry. Ask for forgiveness. So then that means that when I was doing the 10 years inside of prison, I got locked up at 19 years old. My son was 3 months old when I got incarcerated. When my son would come on to the visit, I would tell him, man, I'm sorry, son, because I'm not where I should be, right? Like, I'm not accessible to you all throughout the year. I'm only accessible to you on the visits 4 times a year. That's not how I wanted it to be. I'm sorry. I made a bad decision, because these are some consequences that I do not want to endure. These are not the consequences that I wanted. I'm not there for you. I'm not there for dads with donuts. I can't take you to Cedar Point. I can't take you on a trip. I can't spend that quality time that we are supposed to be spending together because I'm locked up in a penitentiary somewhere. You can't access me all throughout the year because you can't call into the prison. I can't call your mom because she got another dude. So I don't even talk to you. Or you don't talk to me until you come up to the visit. I write you a letter once a week, but there's no letters coming back, right? So I told him, man, I'm sorry. Just to respect him, just to let him know that I see the things that I've done wrong. The worst thing that we can do is just say, man, I'm sorry for everything. That's telling them like, man, well, what are you sorry for? You're just saying it just to say it. Let me know what you are sorry for so I know that you're not going to do those same things again. If I say that I'm sorry for everything, then that means that I'm going to do everything that I've done already to offend you, that you felt like was wrong. I'm going to do that again because I don't even know what the heck it is that I'm addressing. I'm just saying sorry to move our relationship forward. but it actually isn't moving forward. I'm delusional in thinking that our relationship is moving forward because I'm just saying I'm sorry for everything. Because when we continue to try to move forward, I'm going to do the same wrong that I did to you in the past. Is going to create the same results. You're going to feel the same way, and the relationship is still going to be in the same place. Because I don't know what it is that I'm actually saying sorry for. So when I sit up here and I be mindful and I think about what it is that I'm sorry for, and then I tell you, that lets you know that I respect you, but I also respect the relationship that we have. Because I'm going to be intentional about not giving you that same thing that I feel sorry for. Right? So then that's why we want to make sure that we ask for forgiveness, especially with our children. Ask for forgiveness. You know what? Hey, man, I made some decisions that I wasn't there for you in your life. I'm sorry. Not think that they already know that we're sorry. I'm talking about say it. I remember that my lady's daughter, she had when I was picking her up from school at one time, right? Like a couple years ago, right? Picking her up from school. She was in high school at the time, and I remember that, you know, I was late to getting her off of the bus, and she was walking up the street, and I'm like, man, dang, what the heck? You know, I'm like, man, I was late in the mud. I was wrong. Now, me being an adult, I'm thinking, man, you know what? Hey, I'm the one coming to pick her up. I'm the one driving. Ain't nobody paying me to come pick her up, you know? So you start to get in that mode where you thinking that you ain't got to be sorry, you know, even though you know that you're wrong and you don't really want to come to grips with saying that you're sorry. So what you do as a parent, as an adult, you just try to act overly nice. So when she got into the car, I'm just acting overly nice. Like, yeah. Hey, man, you know, it's so crazy, man, ain't it? Yeah, this is so crazy. I'm trying to make up silly jokes and stuff, and she just sitting in the seat, in the passenger seat, like this. Stone face. And I'm driving, and I'm still trying to talk, and she ain't responding. And when we get close to her house, I'm about to drop her off, and I just come out and I say, man, hey, my bad for being late, man. Like, ain't no excuse for me being late. I apologize, man. I know that you expected me to be here at that time, and there's no reason. If I say that I was going to be here, I should have been here. So I apologize, right? When she heard that, her mood totally shifted, and she was like, no, that's okay, that's cool. You know, I'm like, wow. So what it took was for me to acknowledge what it is that I've done. Like, out of my mouth, I had to verbally acknowledge what it is that I've done so she can feel it, so she can understand, man, you know what, I respect the relationship. I respect you. I see what I've done wrong, and I'm going to address that wrong that I've done so you can have the confidence in me that I see my wrong, and I'm going to address it. And I verbally told her what the wrong is that I've done, right? So that's what increases the value of the relationship, right? So that's what we must do. We must, man, ask for forgiveness. It will do wonders with our children. The next thing that we want to do is what? Forgive ourselves. That's the next prong to forgiveness. One is ask for forgiveness. Now we must forgive ourselves. So I'm going to ask you this too. When you ask for forgiveness, do you need anybody to get you to ask for forgiveness? Can you ask for forgiveness on yourself? Do you need, right? Do you need to include anybody to ask for forgiveness? Do you need to get the nod and say it's okay for you to ask for forgiveness? It's okay for you to apologize. Do you need anybody to get you to say, man, hey, I'm sorry?
Yeah. Like,
how? Tell me how. Tell me how you need me. Okay, say you done me wrong.
I guess.
And you realize that you've done wrong.
Okay, that's a way to put it. No, you don't.
Do I need to say, it's okay for you to say sorry to me? For you to say sorry? I'm just saying, like...
Okay, yeah, that makes total sense.
Do I got to say, man, you know what, man? Hey, you can say sorry to me. Go ahead. Now is the time. Go ahead. Say it, right? Like, for you to be able to do it, you can do it on your own will, right?
You have to want to, though, I guess.
Right, on your own will. I can tell you all day long, man, that stuff really hurt my feelings, right? And if you come to an understanding that, dang, I didn't want to hurt your feelings like that, and you are sorry for it, it's on you to, one, come to an understanding that that's not what you wanted to do, and you don't want to do it again, and then it's on you to come out and say, I'm sorry. I can't force you to say you sorry. I can't force you to say you sorry. Right? We can't force nobody to apologize. I done seen people mad at their parents and mad at other people because they ain't apologize. It's like, you can't make nobody apologize. Right? You can't make nobody feel sorry. Only thing that you can do is make yourself apologize. Only thing that you can do is make yourself feel sorry. Right? That's the only thing that you can do. So then that's why I say you don't need to include nobody into that equation when you asking for forgiveness. Now, when you're thinking about forgiving yourself, do you need to include anybody into that equation when you go ahead and forgive yourself? Can somebody come to you and be like, okay, your child that you was not there for, or whatever may be the case, or somebody that you done wrong, right? Will you be forgiven when they say, okay, now you are forgiven? Is that when forgiveness happens? You can forgive yourself now. See, sometimes people, they don't forgive themselves until the other person says that they are forgiven. And that's how people hold things over other people's head. And that's what keeps people stagnant, right? Because they are not moving forward until somebody gives them the nod, until somebody gets the understanding that they can be forgiven. But forgiveness is your gift. That's something that you can access. That means that you don't need to include nobody else into your forgiveness process. That means forgiveness is all on you because it benefits you the most. It gives you the ability to be able to move forward. So then that means when I forgive myself, I don't have to be accepted by the individual that I've done wrong with, right? That means that I asked for forgiveness, I understood the error that I had committed, and now I'm going to address that error. So now, because I'm addressing that error, that means that that error is not going to be in my life anymore. So if that error is not going to be in my life anymore, what that is saying is that I can't be held to that same error. Does that make sense? So then that's what gives me the ability to be able to forgive myself. Because, hey, that's not me no more. I'm not that 19-year-old Los who was selling dope. I'm not that 19-year-old Los who was holding on to guns, shooting at people. I'm not that 19-year-old Los no more. Because I'm not that 19-year-old Los no more, because I put in the work and I've addressed the error in my thinking, I'm a whole different individual. You cannot hold that same individual to the person who I am today. So then that means if people are saying, Carlos, you still him, I'm going to say, that's what you think. You stuck in the past, but I'm moving forward because I've forgiven myself. And people will hold stuff all day long. People will still look at you and say you are that person that you were and hold those grudges because they haven't accessed the forgiveness piece that's going to benefit them. Matter of fact, if you start to access that forgiveness piece and forgive me for who I was, then you can maybe access who I am today. Because who I am today can maybe take you to a whole nother level. But you can't even access who I am today because you still looking at me for who I was. But I got information that can open up doors that you are trying to unlock. Because of your inability to forgive, you can't even access the keys that I have. Who is it hurting? You or me? Because I'm still going to continue to move forward. You are the one that's stuck in the past. Your inability to forgive won't give you the ability to be able to take what I got to give to help you get to the next level. It's not hurting me, it's hurting you. I done forgave myself. Yeah, I done you wrong in the past. Yeah, I failed you in that area in the past. But now I'm a whole different individual, and I'm not going to do that same wrong that I did in the past to you right now. I'm not going to fail you in those same areas that I failed you in the past right now. So wouldn't you want to be in a relationship with somebody who isn't going to commit those? See, that's what's good for me. It's not about what you did, it's about what you're doing. If you're doing something that's going to benefit my right now, that's where I want to be at. I'm not going to throw you away when you are somebody who can benefit my right now. And replace you with somebody else that's going to do the same things that you did because they don't see it to be an error yet. So now I'm going to go through that same experience again. So when somebody is truly sorry and they say, man, hey man, forgive me. It's like, man, I'm going to forgive that person. Like, because it's like, man, I'm not about to sit up here and hold you to that. It's not beneficial for me. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that we forgive ourselves. The reason why we want to forgive ourselves because we want to be able to move forward in life, right? We want to be able to move forward in life. That's what the forgiveness piece does. It says that, man, you know what? No, Los, I'm not that dad that left you for the 10 years. I'm a whole different dad now. Because I'm a whole different dad, you are not about to sit up here and take advantage of me being ashamed or me thinking about the things that I did. And you're going to take advantage because you have an immature mind. And you're going to say, man, Dad, I want you to get the Jordans on Monday, and I want you to get the game. I want you to get NBA 2K on Friday, and you better get it for me because I know that you're feeling guilty. You know how many parents parent out of guilt? They overlooking things that they wouldn't overlook if they didn't feel guilty. They go out their way buying all this stuff for Christmases and things like that because of the guilt. They get kicked out because of guilt, right? So then that's what weaken the relationship, and it also will impact the way that we parent our children when we don't forgive ourselves. So we got to forgive ourselves, right? Because we understand that we are flawed individuals, and people are flawed, period. We gonna make mistakes. That's why pencils come with erasers. So we want to make sure that we just identify those mistakes, we identify those errors, and we don't make those same errors. We forgive ourselves because we have went through the process to warrant our forgiveness. Our forgiveness. Right? Somebody else ain't getting on board, that's fine. They'll get on board, but that's on them. You can't make nobody forgive you. But you can forgive you. Again, that's a beautiful thing. Now, the next prong to the forgiveness process is what? It's forgiveness of others. That means now I must forgive my children for their past wrongs, right? I must forgive other people for whatever wrong they did, right? And deal with them for right now. It's so easy to get caught up in still remembering the things that they did. It's not to say that you don't forget what they did, but it's saying don't include what they did on what is happening right now. So sometimes what it is that we could go in and wipe our children off the map for something that they did was this small. But the reason why we wiping them off the map for something that they did that was this small is because we still haven't forgiven them for the other small things that they have done. And it just accumulated. And now, when they do this one thing that's small, we like, wiping them off the map. That breaks down the relationship. So we want to make sure that we forgive our children. And why would we forgive our children? Number one is because we understand that we are flawed individuals. Number two, we understand that children are going to make a lot of errors, right? That's what they are here for. And that's when they are growing. Like children, they think that this thing is right. I'm going to go ahead and eat my boogers, right? I'm going to do that, and that's what I'm going to do. You know, their minds is different. They're not adults. They are children. So then that's why children definitely need to be forgiven. They're going to try your forgiveness. They're going to try your forgiveness piece all day long. Because they're going to try stuff. You know, my daughter is going to be in stuff, and I'm going to look and see what she's in, and it made a crazy mess. I got to understand who I'm dealing with. When I hear it be quiet, it's like, hold up, it's quiet. Yep. I already know, man, I ain't heard from this little lady in about 10 minutes, man. I know she doing something. And when I go see her and she's in the bathroom taking all of the hand soap and doing all kind of stuff with the hand soap, and I'm like, first of all, I gotta say, man, it's partly my fault, you know, because I'm not paying attention, you know. So a lot of times when we don't want to forgive people, it's not a them thing, it's a us thing. It's a us thing. We more at fault, and we don't want to address us. That's why you be holding on to grudges to other people, because you actually don't want to face yourself. You know, it's easier to be mad at somebody else than to be mad at yourself. And we already know, man, what's easy, you do what's easy and your life will be hard. And that's why people's lives be so hard. And that's why they hold on to the grudges with other people and they find a life to be hard. Why is their life hard? Because they are doing the easy. It's easier to go ahead and look at the wrong that somebody else has done and not look at the wrong that you have actually done. Right? I hear people that be mad at the mother of their children. They be mad at their girls. Why? And they be like, man, I'm so mad I can't stand her. They be mad about the things that she's done. But I say, man, you're not mad at yourself, though. Because you made the decision to be with her. You made the decision to have a child with her. And you're not mad at yourself. You're more mad at what she's doing, but you're not mad at the way that you have handled the relationship. Right? But it's easier to be mad at them than to be mad at yourself, right? So you do what's easy, your life will be hard. But if you do what's hard, your life will be easy. See, if you sit up here and be mad at yourself, I was mad at myself when I was sitting up there in the penitentiary for a 10-year prison sentence. I was mad at myself, right? I wasn't mad at the person who was stealing my dope. I wasn't mad at the people who didn't come up to see me. I wasn't mad at the people who didn't accept my collect calls. I wasn't mad at them. I was mad at myself for putting myself in that position. And because I was mad at myself, it was hard to be mad at myself. But because I was mad at myself, it forced me to go ahead and do the work that was necessary so myself wouldn't be in that position ever again. Get it? Like, that's what it is. I was so mad at myself that it forced me to stay up a little bit longer at night studying the stuff in the books. It forced me up a little bit longer, you know, at night to sit up here and focus on what type of individual that I want to be, right? It drove me to action because I was mad at myself more than anything. So then that's why forgiveness of others is so important too as well, because it helps you to be able to progress. Because if I'm not focusing on myself and I'm focusing on others, how the heck can I progress? Because I can't change that person who has done me wrong. I can't change their errors. Only error that I can change is myself. So then that's why me holding a grudge against somebody else is not beneficial for me, because I'm wasting my energy, I'm wasting my time on focusing on somebody else that I cannot change. But I can start to change the way that I make my decisions. I can start to change about who I get with, who I join hips with. I can start to change that, right? I can start to change on the things that I do. My errors. So forgiveness of others is a gift. And people look at it as being weak. Just because I forgive somebody don't mean that we still got to continue to walk this journey together. Because if you still doing the same thing that you was doing that caused me harm, it is my responsibility to be able to protect myself and say, you know what, I'm not going to be around you because you are still in that design. I'm not going to forget. Forgiveness is not forgetting. I'm going to remember it, because if you are still in that design, it's giving me the indicator to stay away from you. Because if I'm around you, I'm going to experience that same result, and I don't want to. Not only that, but I want to be able to teach my children to stay away from that type of character as well, right? If I forgot, then I wouldn't be able to give that information to my children. I won't be able to access that information for myself. So when I see other people operating in that design, I'm like, I already know what type of result that's going to produce. Let me go ahead and get away from that individual. Forgiveness is not forgetting. Forgiveness is not saying that I got to continue to walk this journey with you tied to my hip. If you are in that design that's causing me harm, it is my responsibility to go ahead and separate myself from you and get next to somebody who is not going to cause me such harm. Or if you change and you evolve and you become this new individual, it's my responsibility to see that and say, come on, let's go ahead and join Hipstead. Because I'm not holding you to what you did. I'm holding you to what you're doing. That's difficult. And that takes another level of understanding, straight up. Because people, they can't get past that stuff. Man, what you did, and they don't even access the keys that you got right now because they can't get past what you did, even though you're a whole different individual. That takes a whole different level of understanding, you know, of what forgiveness is. So that's where we want to be at. We want to make sure that we forgive others because it helps us to be able to progress, right? Everything about forgiveness is giving us the ability to be able to continue to evolve and move forward in life. And that's what it's about. So forgiveness, it helps us strengthen relationships. It helps enrich the quality of our lives when we access the forgiveness piece. The relationship between us and our children, it has to be built on forgiveness because errors is going to happen. It's just about how do we address those errors that happen between us and our children in that relationship. In any relationship, it's going to be errors that happen. A lot of times people think that it's going to be perfect, and that's a myth. That's fairy tale. When you're dealing with people, man, you are going to encounter errors, period, when you're dealing with people. But people be having a mindset on people being God. Like, you gonna be perfect. No, only person that's perfect is God. Ain't nobody else on this earth's surface is perfect. And if we understood that, then we won't be so critical when people make those errors. We will have more of an understanding. That's what it's about. Even with our children. More of an understanding. And that'll help us to be able to move forward. It'll help us to be able to strengthen the relationships that we have down here on this earth. Right? That's what it is. Woo! Good stuff, man. Good stuff, man. Heck yeah, man. Does that stuff make sense, man?
It does. It really does.
Heck yeah, man.
I'm one of those individuals that's always hard on myself. I take it out like on myself. You know, I don't care about the other person. They've already done being forgiven. It's forgiving myself because I know I'm smarter than what I've been doing. I know I'm my potential. Why the hell have I tapped into it?
Right.
So, yeah, that's a big one.
Heavy duty, man. And that's where a lot of people struggle at, too, is just like with forgiving themselves, man. You know what I'm saying? Is that they still continue to hold themselves as something that they're not.
That one hit home for real.
That's heavy duty, man. That's good stuff, man. Heck yeah.
I know what I'm going to focus on tonight.
Right.
And I owe my children an apology.
Right.
You break it down short and simple, you know, I had it all. Great job. I worked really hard for it in my early 20s.
Yeah.
Lost it. And I started drinking instead of moving on to the next level, doing what I should have been doing. Lost my house, my wife, my kids. I'm recently remarried and all that moving forward.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that.
No doubt, man.
Definitely, yeah.
That's cool.
I know I woke up for a reason.
No doubt. Yeah, man, that's good stuff, man. Yeah, and that's gonna be powerful, man. Just thinking about that too, man. Like, and people gonna get a different feel from who you are, and it's gonna strengthen the relationships automatically because they're gonna be like, man, you know. And again, people might not even take the apology initially, but it's just about sticking to it and saying, I'm gonna continue to do what I believe to be right. See, sometimes people be like, I'm sorry, but they still do it after they didn't get the response that they wanted, right? But you might not get the response immediately, but it shouldn't change you feeling sorry, right?
Right. Well, and the fact that I'm able to apologize,
absolutely,
means I've forgiven myself.
No doubt.
I'm able to talk about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's
absolutely.
Well, thank you, man.
No doubt. There it is, man. Next Friday, man, we rocking and rolling.
All right. Better get him to that birthday party, man.
I know, man. I'm gonna get on that dang on. You know, I got I hope she don't ask me to skate, man, because I'm not really I'm not no skater, so I'm not. So man, I'm gonna be out there like, sheesh, man. I hope that she lets me slide, man.
Just you being there.
For real. Right. But my daughter, man, she sees me as Super Dad. She's like, come on, Super Dad, let's get out there. You know, like, I'm going to be like, sheesh, man.
No doubt, that's good stuff, man.
Absolutely.
Even though there's just two of us.
No, hey, that's all that we needed, man. You know, that's all we needed. We got what we need, man. You know, appreciate y'all coming, man. You know, absolutely. Big man.
Well, you be safe driving.
Absolutely.
Out,
all right, you too, man. I'll talk to you. Yep. Oh, shit. Early Saturday morning, man, getting it in, man. This is the movement. This is the mission. I hope y'all benefited off of, man, this word. I hope it was fruitful. I hope it opened your eyes. I hope it gave you some good insight. You know, that's all it's about, man. That's why I share this stuff with the audience. I share it with the audience because I wanted to improve, you know, quality of lives that's out there. And the way that we improve the quality of life is by improving, you know, our minds and the state of our minds, man. If we improve the state of our minds, then our lives will be better automatically, man. I'm telling you, dead serious. And the way that we improve the state of our minds is by the content that we are digesting. All right, I appreciate y'all, man, 1000%. I hope that this was beneficial. This has been another broadcast from the Starts Within organization. Turn the penitentiary on its head, stand the community on its feet. Peace.